So here I am. Hey! Earlier this week, Reverend Leslie reached out and asked if I would do a short spiritual share on cause and effect. Thank you so much, Nancy, for stepping into that. But as part of the service today and earlier this week, I was like, sure, I'm in, great. I had like 0.5% of an idea of what I would share at that moment. But yesterday I was noodling on it during a run, and as I was running and noodling, I was like, there is a whole talk in this. And then at Women Connected, Reverend Karin shared that Reverend Leslie was sick and they needed somebody to speak, and I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna do that talk thing, right? This is cause and effect in action. So what we put into the law is made manifest. Talk complete. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. All right, I'll share a few more words. The thing is that this effect works, right? Me stepping in to speak today, it works for Reverend Leslie. Reverend Leslie, we were sending you all the Care Bear stare vibes that you feel better. It works for Rev Karin because she was able to continue on with her day with the things that she needed to do. It works for me because I'm kind of massaging this whole ministry thing, and stepping in to give a talk is a good way to do that. And my hope is that it works for you too, and you have some sort of little aha or takeaway for your own self today. But what about when effects don't feel very well timed, or aren't particularly enjoyable, or maybe they actually contribute to the devastation of ourselves, others, nature, or the world around us? There are a few effects going on right now. As I was considering just 2 to 3 minutes to share, I struggled, feeling under the weight of many of those effects this week. A very simple one was on Wednesday when I had just parked at my daughter's high school to go in to see her pom team cheer for the basketball game. And I got out of my car and I heard this really loud hissing sound. And I was like, I wonder if that's the truck right by me. So I'm walking, I'm like, is it the truck? Is it the truck? And I get back and I hear that it's my tire on the back of my car. And I'm standing there watching without anything that I can do to stop it. I just see my tire deflate. And that is just one of the effects that was up for me in my life this week. And I wonder about for you. What effects are present for you right now? I invite you to actually take a moment right now and consider this. Perhaps close your eyes if that feels supportive to you. But take a moment and consider, what is happening in life that maybe feels good and well-timed? And what is happening that feels challenging or heavy? Perhaps notice if what occurs to you is a you thing, if it relates to your experience with the natural world or with the broader people world around you. And just take a gentle breath as a way to acknowledge whatever is up for you right now. And then take another breath to consider your willingness. Are you willing to engage in this idea of cause and effect to impact a different experience? And then gently open your eyes. Today, we're going to continue our January journey to explore both the foundations of New Thought, as well as to continue to deepen into ancestral wisdom through the Potawatomi perspective, specifically through Sweetgrass. We'll start where we are and then move out to the circles around us. Are you ready? In our teaching, we hold that spirit, God, grace, whatever name you give it, is the allness of life. Divine mind, the first cause, is forever becoming through creation. And that's its impulse, to express and to become. And as it is the allness of life, all that is seen and unseen is of it. All that is made out of itself. It is both cause and effect. So cause, divine thought, idea, it sets in motion, and it includes all that is necessary for the effect to be made manifest. When he talks about cause and effect, Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, he often refers to this funny word, involution. So he talks about involution and evolution, and this is a very long slide. I got very excited about slides last night. And the place that I really want to focus on, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's an exclamation mark, like kind of middle bottom, and then the next word, the contemplation. Here's just what I want to focus. The contemplation of spirit, the self-knowingness of God produces involution. Evolution is the passing of thought into manifestation. So we often talk about evolution, right? The expansion of what is into the greater possibility of what is yet to be. And involution is the flip side of that. And I love this word. I've just been it kind of came up into my awareness a number of weeks ago, and I was like, what is this involution thing? But there's something about involution, being involved, the drawing down of the divine, of the qualities like divine love, peace, joy, balance, to be expressed in the world. And so the law of cause and effect is the ongoing process of infinite being eternally becoming, involving itself in life, as life. This is the pattern built into life itself, not just sometimes, but all the time. And this is modeled through our teaching symbol. So that V in the center representing that involution, the coming down, the almost like folding in of the absolute divine idea or spirit through that middle section that we call the law that makes it happen. It's like the soil that you plant a seed in. The soil is that law, the creative medium that brings the plant, the effect, into reality. And the law of mind is always at work, taking what is pressed into it and reflecting back through our lived experiences. So here we are, conscious beings. And we are co-creators with the divine. We co-cause life unfolding through us. What we are thinking and feeling, just like Nancy said, it sets in motion. It causes things to manifest. We are each participating in the law of cause and effect. So again, here's the thing. If we are each participating in the law of cause and effect, it behooves us to check. What are we placing into the creative medium? What are we involving ourselves in? And to reflect on what we're experiencing in the world of effects. And by effect, I simply mean everything. So everything that we see, touch, taste, feel, hear, grasp through our physical senses, and thoughts that occur in response to what we see and feel and hear and grasp through our senses, and then how we behave in response to those thoughts and that experience. And if we're unconscious of our inner world, or we live in the surface of what we're thinking and feeling, we'll be tossed around by the seeming chaos in and around us. Very simply put, if things out here are feeling good and we like it, we're gonna be happy. And the crowd goes wild, ready? And then if things are not so good and it's kind of hard and it's very sad and it's very confusing sometimes, we're gonna be sad. Ready, go. But then something happens and we're so happy. And then something else happens and we're like, what? And then something else happens and we're happy. And then we're like, oh, the things and over there. Oh my gracious, I'm exhausted. What about you? So when we're willing to cultivate awareness of our inner world, we realize we can influence what we are thinking and our response to it. Not just to the thing out there, but to the feelings that rise up for us and even those thoughts that occur. We increase our ability to consciously co-create our lives to serve the highest good of ourselves and the highest good of those around us. We get to involve ourselves in the good we desire. And if you've been around the science of mind for any length of time, you've probably heard the quote, "Spirit can do for us only what it can do through us." And this is where we get to plug in those spiritual practices, because those are the activities that help us to shift our inner thoughts and perspectives in the direction of what we want to experience. We consciously think, contemplate, pray, reflect, affirm what it is that we want, thereby collaborating with infinite mind to involute and set in motion the desired effect. These opportunities to consciously choose thoughts are when we get to say, yes, I am the divine love that God is, or I am the freedom that God is, whatever eternal quality you seek to experience more in life. And so this is something we get to do on an individual level. If we want a different experience, then we get to take self-responsibility and ensure that what we are putting into the law is in service of that vision. Sometimes we'll notice an immediate inner and outer shift, and sometimes we won't notice it immediately. And so we are called to continue involving ourselves consciously in what it is we want to experience. I remember about 10 years ago becoming acutely aware of unhelpful thoughts that just kept looping through my mind. They were thoughts like, I'm stupid. What's wrong with me? And they played like a broken record, leaving me feeling completely broken and struggling to take any meaningful action in my life, in my work, in my relationships. And when things were good, I felt good. And when things went wrong, I was like, see, it's proof that I'm stupid and there's something wrong with me. I would go right back to that default messaging. Around that time, I began engaging in practices that affirmed the truth that I am whole and inherently good. And do you know what? Over time, those default messages have actually stopped. Like altogether, they don't occur to me anymore. So a terrible thing can happen, like I get a flat tire in the middle of a high school parking lot at the end of a long day in the middle of a dense week. And yes, I did fumble for a couple minutes to get my bearings, but at no point did I beat myself up or blame myself for what happened. Returning over and over to knowing our unity in the allness of life, to Spirit forever becoming through us, up-levels our capacity to be at cause in our lives for the greater good. So we start with ourselves and our intimate co-creative relationship with Spirit, but we don't remain there, because we're not all there is in the world. There are other humans and nature. And this is where we're going to revisit Robin Wall Kimmerer, the member of the Potawatomi tribe, as well as a botany professor and lover of the land. And we've been traveling with her through this month. In her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, she tells rich lessons of life that are learned from plants and animals, our oldest teachers. So today we're going to consider what sweetgrass has to teach us. And we can actually just leave it on the sweetgrass slide, that's fine. I'm going to actually read an adaptation from this book, and as you listen, I invite you to hear how cause and effect are being revealed. In this story, Robin is walking with a gray-haired elder named Lena. Lena, the gray-haired elder, led Robin through the meadow in search for sweetgrass. It's our way, she said, to take only what we need. I've always been told that you never take more than half. After scattering a bit of tobacco to the ground with her thanks. You know this, she said, to always leave a gift for the plants. To ask if we might take them, it would be rude to not ask first. Only then did she stoop and pinch off a grass stem at its base, careful not to disturb the roots. The most important thing was to remember what Lena's grandmother had always told her. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay with us and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. If you don't give it respect, it will leave us. This place always gives good sweetgrass since we tend to it right, but other places it's getting hard to find. I'm thinking they might not be picking it right. Some people, they're in a hurry and they pull up the whole plant. Even the roots come up. That's not the way I was taught. Robin had been with the pickers who did that, yanking up a handful that left a little bare spot in the earth. They too made offerings of tobacco and took only half, sure that their method of picking was the correct one. They were defensive about the charges that their harvesting was depleting the sweetgrass. Robin, the professor of botany, wanted to know which method was best for the sweetgrass population, a true joining of her Potawatomi upbringing and her academic career. She suggested this idea to her student Lori for her thesis, and Lori identified and marked off 3 strong patches of sweetgrass and carefully counted each stem. 1 patch would be harvested by pinching, 1 by pulling, and 1, the control, would be left completely alone. For 2 years, these patches were observed, and they were harvested at the appropriate times, never more than half. At the end of the experiment, Lori counted one last time every single stem. Her statistical analyses were all sound and thorough, but she hardly needed graphs to tell the story. From across the field, you could see the difference. Some plots gleamed, shining golden green, and some were dull and brown. The surprise was that the failing plots were not the harvested ones, but the unharvested controls. The sweetgrass that had not been picked or disturbed in any way was choked with dead stems while the harvested plots were thriving. Whether the sweetgrass had been pinched singly or pulled in a clump, the end result was nearly the same. It didn't seem to matter how the sweetgrass was harvested, only that it was. Lori's findings might have been surprising to academic theologists, but they were consistent with the theory voiced by the ancestors. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. So what we learn from this story is twofold. First of all, it reveals that respectful, intentional action towards nature leads to flourishing. Cause, based on ancestral wisdom of trust, gratitude, and balance, produces the effect of more than enough. This is especially true when we only take what's needed, when we express gratitude and thankfulness for the gift, and when we return our care by tending to the earth. The other thing we learned from this story of the sweetgrass is that neglect or careless harvesting causes decline. Cause, based in greed, fear, or ignorance, produces a diminished crop or one that disappears altogether. How true is this for all of co-creation? When we take carelessly or from greed or fear, vitality diminishes. And when we neglect the natural world or the people who live in it, when we turn away out of ignorance, fear, or disinterest, that vitality can disappear. In the full story, Robin describes what it takes to work with the earth in the profound way of the ancestors. And this is what she says: to be heard, you must speak the language of the one you want to listen. The ancestors were willing to slow down and listen to the sweetgrass, to understand what it needed to survive. They knew the sweetgrass was infused with the same impulse to express that they were, even if they spoke different languages. But they were willing to listen to what they could understand. And then they were willing to speak that understanding back to the grasses, acting in a way that reflected their respect for the grasses and their trust in the bigger movement of life beyond them. This wisdom mirrors what we affirm in Science of Mind. And so a quote from Ernest Holmes: "The infinite knowingness becomes our wisdom only in such a degree as we embody its intelligence." We are invited to slow down, to understand what is needed for life to thrive beyond where we are or our common circle of acquaintances, where we start and stop. To know that those that seem so different from us, whether plant or animal or people, are infused with the same impulse to express divine life that we are. And to know that so deeply that it cannot help but move through us, transforming infinite knowingness into wisdom that expresses through our thoughts, words, and actions, that it becomes manifest as us. This is one way that we remain open at the top, open to continue growing, learning, and becoming, to increase our willingness to contribute to a world that works for all of life, the natural world and those who inhabit it. We start with ourselves, to clean the windows of our minds and ensure that the thoughts and behaviors we are involved in serve the expression of the divine that we desire. And then we expand out to the people around us, to the ways that we engage, the land we walk on, and the world beyond, taking only what we need, expressing gratitude, and tending to all with care. When we realize that we are contributing to the diminishment of life, it's important that we take compassionate and courageous responsibility and listen again to the impulse in ourselves and another to express spirit. We return to cause and consciously think, contemplate, pray, and affirm what we want, thereby refreshing our collaboration with infinite mind to involute and set in motion the desired effect. And then we embody. We take action with what is ours to do. And in this way, we participate in a world where every being is valued. Our Centers for Spiritual Living global vision is this. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. As we come to a close here, I have a few questions for you to consider. What is an effect you want to experience or promote in the world? Perhaps this is the effect that came to mind at the start of this talk. Perhaps it is something else. But let it come to mind now and affect a situation, an outcome that you want to experience or promote in the world. And now ask yourself, what would it look like, sound like, or feel like for you to involve yourself in service of that outcome? What spiritual practice can you engage in to participate at the level of cause for that which you desire to unfold? And then really take responsibility for your contribution by asking, what one step are you willing to take this week? Perhaps your one step is to affirm a loving truth for yourself. Perhaps it is to expand your prayer practice beyond your inner circle. Perhaps it is to open a conversation with a beloved that you want to listen to more deeply. Whatever your step may be, may it begin by turning inward, by involving yourself consciously in what you want to create in life. Be empowered from the inside out, knowing that you have the ability to participate in creating what shows up in the world, in creating a world that works for all. Thank you. Thank you. And let's just take this into prayer. And so I just take a breath into this now moment, recognizing that there is only one divine allness of life that is first cause, forever becoming through all that is, was, and ever will be. And I know that this one is absolute love, divine perfection, infinite possibility and potentiality, that it is all that is needed for whatever it desires to become in the world, and that there is no end to the good that is ready to unfold. And I identify myself in this one, knowing that it is all that I am. And I know this for each beloved that is gathered here within the sound of my voice, that each one is one in the one, that in every cell of their being, they know that there is no separation between the infinite possibility of life itself and that which they are feeling and wanting to expand into in the manifest world. And so I simply speak a word on our behalf, knowing that whatever is ours to do in this world, to take only half, to express gratitude, to tend to all with care, I know that it rises up within us, and that each one is clear about their next steps to take, and that with courage and clear knowing that it is all for the good of life, that it happens. I am so grateful to know that life is unfolding perfectly right here and right now, in, through, and as each one of us. I'm grateful to know that it is all good, that it is all God. And so we simply let this go, and we say together, and so it is.